The night was unnaturally silent. When Carlos tightened his grip on the steering wheel and guided the car down the mountain road, he had driven this route countless times. Yet that night, a thin gray line blinking on his GPS screen caught his attention. He had never seen it before. The road had no name, no marking, no house icons, just a narrow line disappearing into the forest. He told himself to ignore it, but the steady vibration of the engine seemed to hum in rhythm with a strange pull in his chest, as if the road were calling him. The radio dissolved into static. The signal vanished. Before he realized it, he had turned the wheel. Gravel crackled beneath the tires. When he shut off the engine, the world emptied itself of sound. Not quiet. Absence. Even the air felt held in place. His heartbeat filled the vacuum. Then, from somewhere beyond the trees, he heard it. A long, wet inhale, like something breathing through damp lungs. Carlos started the engine again and followed the road until it ended in a clearing where a farmhouse stood alone. The house looked less abandoned than forgotten. Its white paint had faded to ash gray, windows black and depthless. The porch sagging as if the structure were tired of standing. One side of the roof bore deep burn scars. The front door hung half open, moving slightly though there was no wind. Carlos told himself it was just wood, just age, just gravity. But the air was still. Inside, the smell reached him first. Burned wood, wet cloth, and something older that did not belong to any living place. Dust coated the floor, except in one path where it had been disturbed, as if someone had walked through recently. His footsteps echoed through the room, but the echo returned late, as though the house listened first before giving the sound back. The air grew colder as he stepped deeper inside, his breath fogged. Beneath his boots, the wooden floor vibrated faintly, slow, heavy, rhythmic, like a buried heartbeat. He froze and held his breath, but the vibration did not stop. It continued, steady and patient, as if something enormous rested beneath the boards. A wooden chair stood facing the wall. Carlos reached out and turned it around. Deep scratch marks scarred the floor beneath it. If it had been dragged into that position over and over again, the chair slid backward an inch on its own. No slope, no wind, no sound, just movement. Then he heard breathing behind him. Deep, wet, slow. He turned. Nothing. But warm air brushed the back of his neck, and every hair along his arms rose. The staircase ahead was swallowed by a darkness that seemed too dense to be shadow. From above came a single tap, then another, as if someone were pressing a fingertip against wood in steady intervals. The smell of burning intensified, fresh this time. He looked down. A charred handprint marked the floorboards, small, child-sized, as though something beneath had pressed upward through the wood. The boards bent slightly around the shape of it. "Don't leave." The whisper vibrated against his ear. From upstairs came a dragging sound, something heavy, being pulled slowly across the floor. It moved toward the stairs, toward him. The darkness above shifted, not spreading, lowering, as if it had weight. Carlos backed toward the door, but when he glanced outside, the forest was gone. The road was gone. Beyond the doorway was only flat, gray emptiness. No trees, no sky, no horizon. The house inhaled. The vibration beneath the floor quickened. The rhythm matched his chest. He could no longer tell which beat belonged to him. Dust stirred on the staircase. Footprints appeared one by one, pressing into the powder though no feet were visible. They descended to the final step. Then one more print formed on the floor in front of him. "You stayed," whispered a broken voice near his ear. His phone screen reflected his face, and behind it stood a thin, burned figure, its eyes hollow, its jaw melted away, its mouth moving without sound. The words came from his own lips. "You came back." The floor beneath him softened. His boots sank slightly, as if the wood had become flesh. Something moved beneath the boards, a pulse, then another. His chest tightened violently. A sharp pressure exploded beneath his ribs, as if something inside him were pressing outward. His shirt shifted. The shape of fingers appeared against the fabric from within. 5 distinct impressions, slowly stretching. His heartbeat stopped, but he did not fall. His body remained upright, rigid, balanced by something not his own. His head tilted slightly to one side. His lips pulled into a slow, empty smile. The front door opened behind him. The forest returned. His body turned and walked out. He got into the car. The engine started. He drove away. The farmhouse door closed. Click. When Carlos reached his driveway, everything looked normal. Porch light glowing, neighbor's television flickering through curtains. He stepped inside. The refrigerator hummed. The heater whispered. He poured himself a glass of water, but beneath the sound of the liquid filling the glass, he heard it again. Thud, thud, slow and heavy. From inside his chest. In the rearview mirror earlier, the back seat had slowly depressed as if someone had sat down. A seatbelt had stretched and clicked into place on its own. He had not turned around. Upstairs, as he sat on his bed, the mattress slowly dipped behind him. Warm breath brushed his neck. You stayed. His lungs refused to fill. The next morning, neighbors said they had not seen Carlos. His car remained in the driveway. The front door was unlocked. A coffee mug sat on the table. The bed sheets were damp, as if someone had slept in heavy breath. There were no signs of struggle, no broken glass, no blood, but faint burn marks marred the bedroom floor. Weeks later, another driver saw a thin gray line appear on his GPS. The same nameless road, the same pull. He followed it. His body was found after a violent highway crash, though doctors confirmed his heart had stopped before impact. Inside his ribcage were bruises shaped like fingers, pressing outward. A bystander's phone captured the burning vehicle. In the flames, behind the driver's smiling face, stood a charred silhouette. The footage went viral. A news reporter went live at the crash site. As she spoke to the camera, her expression shifted. Her eyes lifted slightly above the lens, as if something stood just behind it. The microphone captured a whisper. You'll stay. Her chest jerked violently. Beneath her shirt, the shape of 5 fingers pressed outward from within. On live broadcast, her heart stopped mid-sentence. She collapsed, still smiling. The camera fell sideways but continued streaming. In the background, shapes began forming in the darkness, thin, motionless, watching. The stream cut to black, but the audio remained, breathing, slow, wet, waiting. In the days that followed, viewers of the broadcast began reporting the same dream: a nameless road, a farmhouse, a half-open door. Some never woke up. Others did, but their heart rhythms had changed. Doctors recorded identical patterns across dozens of patients: slow, heavy, synchronized. One night, the entire city lost power for 3 minutes. In the darkness, thousands of homes became silent at once, and from within the walls came a single unified sound: breathing. When the lights returned, everything appeared normal, except for the faint burn marks appearing beneath beds, inside closets, along floorboards, and sometimes, when someone pressed their ear against the wall, they could hear a whisper in their own voice. Home. The gray road no longer stayed in one forest. It appeared on different GPS screens now, briefly, randomly, and the moment someone noticed it, something inside their chest would respond. Thud, thud, slow, heavy, waiting. If you ever see a thin gray line where no road should be, do not stare at it too long, because once you notice it, it notices you back. And when it whispers, it will not ask. It will simply say, "You came back." At first, people thought it was coincidence, a pattern the mind was forcing where none existed, but patterns began appearing everywhere. Security footage from different neighborhoods showed people standing still in their kitchens at night, heads tilted slightly to one side, lips parted in a faint, empty smile. They would remain that way for several seconds, then their chests would rise sharply once, violently, as if something inside had taken a deep breath through them, and then they would collapse. Autopsies revealed the same internal trauma: bruising beneath the ribs, finger-shaped pressure marks from the inside outward, not broken bones, not torn organs, just pressure, as if something had reached through the heart, pressed against it, and squeezed until it stopped. Hospitals became overcrowded. Cardiologists reported impossible readings. Patients whose hearts stopped for 3 full seconds, then resumed at a new rhythm. Slower, deeper, mechanical, not quite human. Some of those patients described a sensation before the shift. It felt like I wasn't alone in my chest. I could hear breathing under my own breath. I felt something counting my heartbeats. Thud. Pause. Thud. The city installed public alerts. People were told not to share the video, not to discuss the road, not to speculate. But the more silence was enforced, the louder the phenomenon became. The gray line began appearing not just on GPS devices, but on digital billboards, for a single frame, a flicker, on security monitors, on laptop screens, on phone maps that were not even open, just a thin gray road cutting through nothing. And whenever someone stared at it long enough to recognize that it did not belong, their chest tightened. The second rhythm began. 3 months after Carlos disappeared, a new pattern emerged. Entire apartment buildings would go quiet at once. No sounds of footsteps, no televisions, no plumbing. Emergency services would respond to calls reporting structural silence. They would find residents inside, standing upright in different rooms, eyes open, smiling faintly, dead. But the strangest detail was this. Every body faced a wall, forehead pressed gently against it, as if listening. When investigators placed their own ears against those same walls, they heard something. Faint, slow, breathing, and beneath it, a whisper, layered and overlapping, in dozens of voices. We're home. The first confirmed case of transformation happened in a small suburban house on the edge of the city. A teenage boy named Daniel had seen the viral footage weeks earlier. He claimed it didn't affect him, but his parents began noticing changes. He would stand in doorways at night, staring at nothing. He stopped blinking as often. He complained that his chest felt full. One night at 3:17 a.m., his mother woke to silence. No refrigerator hum, no air conditioning, no distant traffic, just absence. She walked into Daniel's room. He was sitting upright in bed, smiling, his eyes unfocused. "Daniel?" she whispered. His head turned slowly toward her, too slowly. His chest rose once, hard. She heard something crack inside him, not bone. Something deeper. His mouth opened wider than it should have, and from his throat came not one voice, but many. "We found you." His body convulsed. The skin across his ribs stretched. From beneath it, small blackened shapes pressed outward. Not fingers this time. Hands, multiple, trying to emerge. She screamed. Lights flickered on and off, and in the brief flashes of illumination, she saw them standing behind her son. Thin, burned figures, dozens of them, their hollow faces leaning close. Her husband ran into the room. He froze mid-step. His chest jerked violently. His heart stopped instantly. He fell. Daniel's body suddenly relaxed. The shapes beneath his skin withdrew. His eyes rolled upward. Then, slowly, he stood, walked to the wall, pressed his forehead against it, and whispered softly, "More." By then, the government had lost control. Satellite imagery revealed unusual thermal patterns beneath the city grid, long branching lines of heat running underground. When mapped, those lines formed the exact shape of the gray road seen on devices. The city itself had become the path. The houses had become the rooms of something larger. The walls were no longer barriers. They were membranes, and something enormous was breathing beneath them. The final stage began quietly. People stopped dying instantly. Instead, they carried it. Neighbors reported subtle changes in loved ones, long pauses before answering questions, smiles that lingered too long, breathing that didn't quite sync with conversation. At night, entire neighborhoods inhaled together. Windows fogged from the inside. Burn marks began appearing beneath foundations, under carpets, inside closets. Doctors who performed late-stage autopsies reported something impossible. When opening the rib cage, they sometimes found no heart at all, just an empty cavity, warm, still faintly moving, as if something had vacated recently. Then came the broadcast that ended everything. A lone emergency channel hijacked every frequency. The screen showed only darkness. No logo, no text, just audio, breathing, slow, wet, thousands of layers of it. Then a voice, familiar, Carlos's voice. You all turned. The screen flickered. For a split second, viewers saw an aerial image of the city at night. Streetlights forming the thin gray road pattern. Every building lit from within. Then, one by one, the lights went out, starting from the center, spreading outward like a pulse. Each darkened block corresponded to another synchronized stop and heartbeat across that area. Hospitals flatlined, traffic lights died, airplanes lost contact, the city exhaled, and did not inhale again. Days later, surrounding regions reported faint radio interference, wet static. Sometimes drivers on distant highways noticed their GPS recalculating without input, a thin gray line forming ahead of them. No name, no estimated time of arrival, just direction, and if they ignored it, nothing happened. But if they stared, even for a few seconds, their chest tightened. Thud, pause, thud, slow, heavy, waiting. Because the road was never meant to bring you somewhere. It was meant to bring something into you. And once it begins beating inside your ribs, it does not rush. It waits until you are ready to open. And when your chest rises one final time, and the pressure builds from within, you will not scream. You will smile. You will turn toward the nearest wall, and you will listen. Because on the other side, just beneath the surface, just under the structure of the world, something vast is breathing. And it is counting. Thud. Pause. Thud. Closer. Waiting. Home. The word did not echo. It settled. It sank into the foundations of everything that remained. Weeks passed after the city went dark, but darkness did not mean emptiness. Satellite images showed no movement, yet faint heat signatures pulsed beneath the urban grid. Long, slow waves of warmth, traveling underground, branching, merging, spreading, like arteries, like something mapping itself. Military drones sent into the city stopped transmitting after a few minutes, and the last recovered footage from one showed an empty street, abandoned cars, storefronts intact, no visible damage, no bodies, just stillness. Then, as the drone hovered lower, the pavement shifted, not cracked, not broken, shifted, as if something enormous beneath the asphalt had rolled in its sleep. The signal cut. The first team sent in on foot reported nothing unusual for the first hour. Empty houses, lights off, food left on tables, television still frozen on emergency broadcast screens, but in every house, the same detail repeated. Bed sheets damp, walls faintly warm, and burn marks beneath the floorboards forming branching patterns. When one soldier pressed his ear against a living room wall as a joke, he went silent. He didn't respond to his squad. He didn't move. His breathing slowed, then synchronized with something none of the others could yet hear. He whispered softly, "It's bigger than the house." His chest rose sharply, his heart monitor flatlined, but he did not fall. He turned slowly, walked to the nearest wall, pressed his forehead against it, smiled. The others heard it then, not through the air, through their own rib cages. A deep internal vibration, thud, pause, thud. The squad never returned. Outside the blackout zone, reports increased. People miles away began describing a sensation of being aligned, as if their breathing had shifted to match something distant. At first it was subtle. Sleep felt heavier. Dreams became identical. A gray road stretching infinitely forward. No trees, no sky, just flat ash-colored ground. And far ahead, a doorway, standing alone. No house attached, just a frame, and something waiting inside. Those who walked toward it in dreams began waking with faint bruises along their ribs, finger-shaped, from inside. Internet forums tried mapping the pattern before global infrastructure failed. The gray line sightings were not random. They formed a spiral, expanding outward from the original city. Each new cluster of cases appeared further along the curve, as if the road were unfolding across the world. Not physically, conceptually. The road was no longer geography. It was recognition. It traveled through thought, through awareness, through fear. Every retelling fed it. Every warning strengthened it. Because to imagine the road clearly enough was to stand on it. In a coastal town hundreds of miles away, a school reported the first full transformation outside the original radius. A classroom of children froze simultaneously during a math lesson. The teacher turned from the board and found 20 small faces smiling faintly, their breathing synchronized. The windows fogged from the inside despite the warm day. One child lifted his hand. "Miss," he said calmly, "it's under the ocean too." Then, all at once, their chests rose violently. 20 heartbeats stopped in perfect unison. The building alarms triggered. Emergency responders arrived within minutes, but every child was already standing again, facing the walls, listening. When removed from the room, they did not resist. They did not blink. They did not breathe. Yet their bodies remained upright, as if something else held them vertical. That town lost power by nightfall. Scientists began suspecting the truth too late. It was not infection, not possession, not haunting. It was structure. The entity was not entering bodies. It was revealing itself through them. Human architecture, homes, cities, walls, had always mirrored something larger. The farmhouse had been a small model, a prototype, a seed, and when enough awareness accumulated in one place, the structure beneath reality aligned with it. The world did not become haunted. It became connected. Walls were not barriers. They were interfaces. Rib cages were not protection. They were doors. And the second heartbeat was not invasion. It was synchronization. The final recordings from a deep space listening station confirmed the scale. Astronomers monitoring background radiation detected a new pulse layered beneath cosmic noise. A repeating rhythm, slow, massive, identical to the cardiac pattern seen in victims. Thud, pause, thud. Not coming from Earth, coming through it. As if the planet itself had become a resonating chamber, and something beyond it was inhaling. Entire regions eventually went silent. Power grids failed. Communication ceased. But silence no longer meant absence. It meant preparation. Travelers crossing abandoned highways sometimes reported seeing figures standing along the roadside, thin, burned, motionless, not approaching, just watching. If the traveler kept driving without looking directly at them, nothing happened. But if they met the figure's hollow gaze, even briefly, their chest would tighten. The second rhythm would begin, slow, heavy, patient, and it would not stop. The last functioning observatory on the planet transmitted one final message before shutting down. The feed showed Earth from orbit, dark patches spreading across continents. Not fire, not destruction, extinguishment. Cities going black in slow expanding circles, each circle pulsing once before fading. In perfect rhythm, thud, pause, thud. The transmission cut as the pulse reached the observatory itself. No official timeline exists after that, but sometimes, in places far from cities, people still report something strange. An empty cabin in the woods, a single house in a field, a quiet room late at night, all background noise stopping at once, total absence, then breathing, not outside, not behind them, inside the walls, inside the floor, inside their ribs. And if they remain very still, very quiet, they may feel it. A second presence aligning with their pulse, waiting for the moment their heartbeat falters, because it does not need to rush. It is already crossed. It is already aligned. It does not chase. It synchronizes. And when your chest rises sharply one final time, and the pressure builds from within, and your vision dims, you will understand something too late. You were never traveling the road. You were always part of it. And the door was never ahead of you. It was inside you, waiting to open, Thud. Pause. Thud. Closer. Still breathing. Still counting. Still home. For a long time, nothing moved. No broadcasts, no governments, no warnings, just scattered reports from the few places not yet synchronized. Small towns, remote farms, isolated mountain cabins, places where walls were thin and silence was natural. But even there, it reached. It did not arrive with noise. It did not announce itself. It waited. One winter night in a remote village far from any city, a woman woke to complete silence. Not the usual rural quiet. This was deeper. Even the wind had stopped. The wood stove made no sound. The ticking clock on the wall had frozen mid-second. Her husband lay beside her, unmoving. She nudged him. He did not respond. She leaned closer to listen for his breathing, and heard it. Not from him. From the wall behind the bed. Slow. Wet. Close. She sat upright. Her own chest felt heavy. Too heavy. She pressed her palm against her sternum. Her heartbeat felt delayed, as if something were waiting between each beat. Thud. Pause. Thud. Longer. Pause. The house inhaled. She heard it clearly now, not just in the walls, but beneath the floorboards, beneath the ground itself. She shook her husband harder. He rolled onto his back. His eyes were open. But he was not looking at her. He was looking through her. His lips were stretched in a faint smile, and then his chest rose violently. Once. Hard enough that the ribs shifted visibly under his skin. His heartbeat stopped. But he did not collapse. He sat up slowly, turned toward the wall, pressed his forehead against it, and whispered, "It's full." The woman tried to scream, but her lungs would not expand. Her breath stopped halfway in. Her chest tightened. She felt something inside her, not moving outward, moving inward, pulling deeper into the cavity, as if her ribcage were no longer a container, but a tunnel. The air in the room grew colder. Her vision blurred, and in the corner of the room she saw them. Not shadows this time, not burned silhouettes, something larger, a shape too big for the room, folding into it impossibly, like a vast ribcage pressing against reality from the other side. Breathing. Each inhale bending the walls inward slightly, each exhale pulling the air out of her lungs. She staggered backward, her chest rose sharply. Pain exploded beneath her ribs, but this time nothing pressed outward. Instead, something reached through. From inside her chest, a thin black fissure opened along her sternum. Not blood, not flesh, darkness, deep and endless. She felt her heart pulled through it, not torn, removed. Gently. Her body went still, but she remained conscious, floating in black, aware, and then she understood. No one had been dying. They had been opened. The world had not been ending. It had been emptied. Every ribcage a doorway, every heartbeat a key. The road had never led to a house. The house had never led to a room. The room had never held a monster. The monster had been the structure beneath everything, and it was not inside the world. The world was inside it, a vast breathing chamber, and humanity had been nothing more than ventilation. Now, the chamber was full, every synchronized heartbeat extinguished, every wall listening, every structure aligned. There were no survivors left to report it. Because survival had never been an option, only synchronization, and somewhere beyond perception, beyond space, beyond matter, the final inhale completed. The planet's core pulsed once, thud, and then silence. Not absence, completion. The Earth did not explode, it did not burn, it did not crack, it simply dimmed, as if a light inside had been switched off. From orbit, the planet remained whole. Oceans still, clouds unmoving, cities intact, but no electrical signals, no heat signatures of life, just a sphere of empty architecture, breathing once every few hours, slow, massive, satisfied. And if, somewhere in the distant universe, another intelligent species ever scans this silent planet, their instruments may detect a faint repeating signal, a slow pulse beneath the crust. Thud, pause, thud, and if they are curious enough to investigate, if they send a probe, if they land, if they step inside one of the waiting cities, if they enter a house, if they place a hand on a wall, they will feel it. The second rhythm, beginning, waiting, home.